Hey, this is C&D Channel. I'm Chris. This is Tony, and this is MMA for You. We're going to be doing our post-fight analysis for UFC 155. Pretty much the final show for 2012. Yeah, what did you think of the overall card, my man?
Of the overall card, I think, aside from the main event and the co-main event, you had a really just grinding up main card. They set a really boring pace. I mean, like I was telling you earlier in the evening, it seemed like the whole motif of the entire card was striker versus grappler. Yeah, it felt like unless a striker could implement his game, it's just going to be a long night. Yeah, because I think all the main fights went to the distance, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Wow, they did.
All decisions, yeah.
Yeah. The only fights that didn't go to decision were Eric Perez's fight against Bloodworth, Todd Duffy's fight, and then John Moraga, and Philippou actually got the TKO victory as well. But I agree. It's a meh card, like I said, because Varner versus Gallardo is pretty fun. Eric Perez, he's looking like a legit prospect. The Wineland Pickett fight was good. Lieben wasn't there. Okami grinded. Bosch versus Philippou was kind of odd. Like, it was just like...
That was an anomaly, yeah.
It was like an anomaly in a way. Loredon Miller was awesome, and despite the gas tank being very low of, like, Dos Santos and even Velasquez in a way, Velasquez versus Dos Santos was good, nonetheless. There was only... Moraga's the only guy that got a submission here against Chris Carriazo, so I'm guessing he gets submission of the night. I'm going to guess Miller versus Lozon got fight of the night.
Without a doubt. I don't think there's any questioning.
And KO of the night, I doubt it's Philippou, so it's either Perez's or Duffy's, and I'm going to assume it's probably Duffy's.
Duffy, yeah.
He timbered the guy, pretty much. Otherwise, yeah, let's get right to it. So Cain Velasquez, and as far as picks go, there's 12 fights on the card. I missed 4, but I actually got like the Philip. I'm not trying to brag, but it's cool because I got a couple underdog picks here, like Philippou beating Bosch. I got that, and I picked Velasquez to beat Dos Santos. So I was really happy about that. I missed a couple of the others. I missed 4 of them in total. But Cain Velasquez beat Junior Dos Santos by unanimous decision. Scores 50-43, 50-44, and 50-45.
Good God.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I certainly don't blame the judges because a lot of those rounds, especially the first round, I would definitely give a 10-8 to.
Yeah, he almost finished him there, and yeah.
He just set a pace that Junior Dos Santos could not keep up with. If he wasn't worried about the takedown, he was eating a bunch of shots.
Yeah, man, I'd never seen that.
I know, it's like, I guess ideally you'd want to do a rematch, but after this fight, I have no desire to see it because at no point was Junior Dos Santos really in that fight.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't feel that he was like Dos Santos was gonna win, and if he came back, it'd be like a Hail Mary type comeback.
And the only time Dos Santos was even approaching to be in the fight is because Velasquez made so many freaking technical mistakes. He ate so many shots, and instead of being heavy and trying to keep Junior down, he just made mistake after mistake after mistake.
Yeah, there were a lot of small mistakes if you looked at it. Like, there were some times when Velasquez would go for a sloppy takedown, when he should have probably punched. He just should have kept boxing. And then, he'd strike and then clinch on the ground. Like,
this is not how you fight with your back against the wall. 0-1 against the champion. That if you lose again, you're never gonna get another title shot as long as Junior's champion.
Yeah. Well, it was effective because the pressure was always there.
Yeah.
That was what made up for it. But there were a lot of small... Dos Santos is really good at getting back to his feet when he's taken down. However, Cain made it... If you look at it, Cain left a lot of space. Like, if they're in the right position. It's like, his body's really far from Dos Santos' body and made a lot of space for Dos Santos to scramble out. It was just, there's a lot of small mistakes that Velasquez was making that really kept Junior in the fight.
Yeah, the fight shouldn't have been so nearly as close. And if anything, you're for Velasquez. If anything, you want to play it safe. Maybe not necessarily put as entertaining fight, but seriously.
Yeah, and it's understandable because you don't. Being Velasquez, maybe you don't want to strike with Dos Santos because he still is a great boxer.
But he didn't have any. It seemed like Junior got up because Kane let him.
Yeah, exactly. Like he can. I was really surprised. Like what we were saying is be like Okami. I mean, that guy was just
grind it out.
Yeah,
just make his. God bless the fans. God bless the sport. But at the end of the day, who's gonna go away with that championship belt?
But Velasquez did anyway.
Yeah, but still, he like I said, instead of emphatically for sure giving him, he gave Junior a lot of openings that he could have exploited.
Yeah, it's kind of weird bagging on like Velasquez, but it's from a technical standpoint, like I think it was a case of like he probably could have finished him if he didn't make those mistakes.
Yeah, and
instead it went 5 rounds because of the space he left when he took him down, when he's in the ride position. Here's the positives. Let's say the positives. 1, he did not give Dos Santos room to breathe. He did not allow Dos Santos to settle to get his range. One thing that Dos Santos does, if you read like really good breakdown of how Dos Santos fights, if you read Jack Slack's breakdown on Bloody Elbow, you can see that he like does these lunging type punches. He can't do that if Velasquez is just going straight at him. And he didn't let him really sit on his punches. So he was just always on him and always within a range that wasn't favorable to what Junior Dos Santos usually does to his opponents. So, contrary to the bad stuff we're saying about Velasquez, he did a really good job and did his homework. Don't get us wrong. It's not like he
it's amazing. It was a one-sided performance that could have been better. Yeah. It could have been more one-sided.
Like I said, at the end of the day, it probably just could have been. I think Velasquez could have probably got the finish, but he made so many small technical mistakes that it went a lot longer than it really had to. That's really the bottom line. But he did do a lot of things to stifle Junior Dos Santos' game, and just, man, I never seen Junior dropped.
Yeah, and especially in that first round. My goodness. He dropped him a lot of times, and he implemented his wrestling game. Yeah. You've never seen Junior on his back.
Yeah.
So long before in his entire UFC career.
Yeah, exactly. So in that sense, Velasquez did great, and I hate to bag on the guy because he won.
I'm sure he could care less of what we say. Yeah. And I'm sure that UFC heavyweight belt. I'm sure the last thing on his mind is, well, I could improve on this and I could improve on that.
Yeah, but as far as who Velasquez gets next, I'm sure if Overeem beats Bigfoot, that we'll see Velasquez Overeem. I think a lot of people would have wanted to see Overeem versus Dos Santos. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I say if Bigfoot beats him by some act of God, somehow Bigfoot manages to beat Overeem, I imagine you would go with that fight. Mm-hmm. Or if something happens to Velasquez where they schedule a championship fight and Kane has to bow out, they do that fight. I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, exactly. Other contenders: Verdum if he beats Minotaur Nogueira. This also it makes it very interesting because Daniel Cormier is going to come to the UFC.
Yeah.
And I believe he said that if Kane wins, that he'll probably try to drop
down to 205.
To 205. Here's the weird thing. Whenever they say cut to 205, this doesn't mean cut 40 pounds in the sauna. Because that. A lot of people think, he can't do that because, in the Olympics, he tried to cut weight and that's how, and he damaged his kidney so bad, or liver or something like that.
It was his kidney shut down.
Yeah, his kidney shut down. He won't be able to cut to 205 now. It's like, well, when they mean cut, they don't mean go into sauna for, drop 40 pounds in the sauna. It means dieting down to eventually get to 205.
I guess.
A lot of people... I want to point out because a lot of people don't really get the idea of him cutting down to 205.
I just think at the end of the day, when he talks, and I think Daniel Cormier is going to be fighting at heavyweight. I don't think he's going to want to leave, and there's no guarantee that he's going to beat Overeem or. Like I said, there's too many scenarios where I think if you're Cormier, I think he would just either just keep fighting at heavyweight, and then eventually, if there's no other contenders left, then challenge for the title. Because I just think at the end of the day, it's, I'm sure you guys are teammates, I'm sure you guys are friends, but at the end of the day, money's going to come between friends.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean,
for the right price, Chris, I will fight you.
Yeah. But, I can see, so you can't see Cormier going down to 205?
No, not at all.
Wow. Why?
I don't know. He's just a big guy, and especially with this fight, he ate a lot of shots, and it's I just think why would you do that to yourself? Why would you just my friend and teammate is the heavyweight champion, so I'm not going to challenge for the title. I'm just going to drop down. I'm just going to go out of my way, and
there's precedent for it, especially among AKA guys.
I guess.
Koscheck never wanted to fight Fitch and vice versa.
Well, then who's to say one of them won't leave? Who's to say with Kane being the champion now, Cormier won that title, that Cormier won't leave?
It's very doubtful. There's no precedent for it. That's the thing. And actually, Koscheck left AKA, and he still said, I wouldn't fight Fitch. So, once again, I mean, there's still that precedent that a guy left AKA.
I'm sure if Fitch was the champion and Koscheck was the number one contender, I'm sure he would fight him.
Possibly, but once again, the precedent we know right now is Kane, their teammates, training partners, and whatnot. I think Cormier would probably cut to 205.
Okay. Let's just agree to disagree.
Yeah. Dos Santos, though, what happens with him next? I'm sure a rubber match will come down the line.
But after this showing by Cain Velasquez, I have no desire to see a rematch. At least not anytime soon. Because it's, like I said, this was pretty much the fight that we expected in the first fight. And now with revelations that Cain was injured going into the first fight, it's really hard to make a case for a third fight.
Yeah, that's another thing too, because it does really shine a different light on the first fight now, because it's like, okay, after seeing this performance, you can't help but not think, okay, his layoff and his injury really came into play in that first fight.
It's like, is anyone really pandering for a St. Pierre Sarah 3 fight?
Oh no.
I mean, it's not that absurd, but I'm just using that example to explain where I'm coming from.
Yeah. I hear ya.
It'd be absurd to illustrate a point.
Yeah, because it just wasn't the performance for Dos Santos to really say, man, they need a rematch. It was too close to call it. No, this was there's some 50-43 scorecards here. So with that said, I think Dos Santos is going to get some sort of pick-me-up fight. Maybe
I would love to see him against Hunt. To me, that'd be just a high-level striker fest. But I think, like I said, he's tied up with Struve, so I think the natural progression would be someone like Congo. Maybe like a gimme fight with Congo.
Yeah, someone that kind of is in the mid, but kind of has a name. Because
if you're UFC, Junior Dos Santos is still a star. You don't want to, put him in a position to look bad. And it's like, Congo, great guy, he's never going to be a top 10 heavyweight.
Yeah, exactly. He's always a gatekeeper. Yeah. So that's the thing. I do appreciate Dos Santos in the sense that he showed a lot of heart. He was never out.
He never quit.
He never quit. But he got dominated. He just got too pressured. He gassed out. He got dropped and hit clean a lot of times. Velasquez, is your new champ. Do you think he'll hold the title for a while?
Like I said, with Cain, there's always, like I said, especially with the first fight with Dos Santos, and especially the Congo fight, is just Cain just eats a lot of shots. He necessarily shouldn't have to. And let's say maybe he doesn't lose one or two fights down the road. I think eventually all those hits are going to take their toll. Yeah, I think if anything, they're going to take away his longevity on top.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because one thing that's a problem with Cain Velasquez is his over-aggression definitely works for him, but it can also work against him.
It's his greatest tool, and it also works to his disadvantage as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Can you see Velasquez beating Overeem?
Very handedly. Like I said,
Yeah,
I don't.
you're tired.
I don't think. Like I said, I love Alistair Overeem is an accomplished striker, but I just think Kane would take. Yeah, his cardio, and I think Kane would just take him down with ease.
Yeah, exactly. Overeem has some big muscles. I love the guy. But, you know, he's actually, like, he's really into Japan, and I think he's a manga fan, actually, too. So, I really like the guy, but, yeah.
I won't use that against him, no.
Yeah, he has some really big muscles, and that needs a lot of oxygen, and...
Yeah, because this guy's, most of his career is fought at 205, and then just all those muscles, it's like, you gotta imagine he's gonna need a lot of oxygen for those muscles, and in a 5-round fight, especially with Kane, with that pace, I mean...
Yeah.
If he doesn't knock him out in the first 2 rounds, there's no way he gets out of the 4th round.
He's
I think Kane would finish him. If Kane doesn't get knocked out in the first 2 rounds, yeah, easily. He just can't easily take him down and finish him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next fight after that, Jim Miller beat Joe Lozon by unanimous decision. Fighting the night, in my opinion, man.
Yeah.
So
not gonna
cool.
Any argument for me. Not gonna get any argument for me.
Man, I mean, there's some standing elbows that are. It was a weird, like, heavy bag thing where, like, he'd grab him, Miller would grab him, and just start just barraging him with elbows and, like, uppercuts and stuff.
Yeah, that was some crazy action.
You talk about crazy action, flying heel hooks, at the end of the third round.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy. Joe Lozon, as always, delivered, having best fight of the night.
Yeah, and this is no exception. He was always in the fight, and even got some good shots in on Miller.
Yeah.
But Miller, it's funny when you hear, like, the Rogan commentary, and he's so tired or something like that. It's like, yeah, he is, but, like, I've seen Jim Miller in fights against, like, Matt Wyman, where he's tired, but he still fights through it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is Jim Miller. That's Jim Miller 101. He's just a trooper. The guy is such a blue-collar, lunch-pail type fighter. This was no exception. He's always in the fight, always working. He's technically sound, very well-rounded.
This fight was a bloodfest.
And oh god,
painting the canvas red with Joe Lozon's blood everywhere.
Oh my god!
How many cuts did he have? He had one right over the eyebrow.
He had one over the eyebrow, which is just devastating. And then I think he had some other ones too.
Yeah, because I think it was more than just the one. I remember Rogan saying something about there being multiple cuts.
Yeah, I think there are multiple cuts. Miller's in a weird place because he's lost to champ Ben Henderson pretty handily. He lost to Maynard. He's lost to Frankie Edgar in the past, and he got choked out by Nate Diaz. So it's like he's a top 10 guy.
But he's never going to fight for the title.
He's never going to fight for a title. He's probably going to be like, oh, Eddie Alvarez needs an entrance to the UFC. Let's give him Jim Miller.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Or like Gilbert Melendez. I hear Melendez might actually get a title shot.
Yeah, because really at the lightweight division, there really is no one ready for a title shot.
Yeah, unless Pettis beats Cerrone. Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, because if Cerrone wins, you can't do a third fight with Henderson.
Exactly. So Miller's just gonna be one of those guys that's gonna be really tough for everyone. He has fun fights. It's hard to place him because, like, I can see Miller fight like a Donald Cerrone. That'd be a good fight. Maybe a Pettis down the line. Lozon's one of those guys that you can put him up against anyone. you put him against a top 10. He'll probably lose, like he lost against like Miller or Anthony Pettis, but he'll have a fun fight. And if he fights a mid-tier, he'll probably win. He might even lose, depending on like his condition, because he lost like Sam Stout of all guys. No offense to Stout, but and that's the thing with Lozon. So you name it, Lozon's probably gonna, you can give Lozon just about anyone, Next fight after that, Konstantinos Philip Poop.
That was our nickname of him for the night.
Yeah, no, I love Philip Poop, actually. I picked him to win.
It's just a fun name.
Yeah, beat Tim Bosch by TKO. Thoughts on this very odd fight?
Like I said, I think everybody knew after the first round that Tim Bosch was hurt. Mm-hmm. He wasn't willing to just call it a night. He was just going to go out there and go on his sword.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I like I said, if you're Filippo, it's like, yeah, you won, but the win's kind of tainted. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if UFC does a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
It's just it was just an awkward win.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad Philippou won, and I would have liked to see how the fight would have turned out. How the fight would have turned out if Bosch was healthy. But there's 3 things working against Bosch. One, I believe he got headbutted, and that's how he got cut. He had like multiple cuts. He had like 3 cuts.
Yeah.
Then he got eye poked, and his vision was just really bad. And then his arm was broken. So it's kind of like, he's relegated to shooting really sloppy takedowns and pulling guard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
which is fine if you're going to do something with it, but he was content just pulling guard and just lying down.
Yeah, pretty much because, he just had so much against him. So, but, it's a good win for Philippou because Bosch, was coming out the 4-fight win streak. He had the come from behind victory over Okami, had the victory over Lombard. So Bosch was always starting to get in the title talk.
Yeah, he was really gathering some momentum, and they just brings it to complete grinding halt.
Yeah, I don't know if Bosch would have won. He did manage to take down Philippou early on, so maybe. But Philippou, is a really good boxer as well. He did tag him with a really good uppercut as well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, and it's hard to feel bad for Tim Boetsch because it's like his last 2 wins were really just luck, if anything. Catching Okami with that big punch and then just Hector Lombard just happened, just not 100%.
Yeah, and even then, a lot of people thought Lombard won. I thought Lombard won the fight. To be
so it's hard to feel sorry for the guy who's had luck on his side and then just so happens to have luck working against him.
Yeah, it's kind of karmic. With Philippou, I guess, he's now in the top 10. He beat a top 10, in the top 10. So I suppose he can fight maybe an Okami.
You could just do just
or Brunson.
Easy peasy booking. Just they both happen to be fine tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Okami or maybe Brunson because he is coming off that win over Levin. I'm trying to think of a cool striker that Philippou can fight. Maybe the winner of Vitor versus Bisping, but I think if Bisping wins, I'll give him Anderson.
Well, like I said, if Vitor wins, he ain't getting a title shot.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no problem winning Philippou against Vitor.
That'd be really cool. So Bosch back to the drawing board. I think he can beat mid-tier guys pretty easily. When he gets top 10 guys, I'd really like to see what he can do. How
about Bosch against Belcher?
Yeah,
that's a fun fight. That's
a fun fight. Okay, next fight after that was the Grind Fest, known as Yushin Okami versus Belcher by unanimous decision. What Okami did to Belcher, there was just... during the broadcast, I was like, well, who's breathing? Is someone having sex?
Because we heard heavy breathing over the PA. What is that?
Damn, is that Brittany Palmer? But then it turned out to be Alan Belcher because Yushin Okami is just so heavy on the guy.
Yeah.
And this is how I kind of thought Velasquez should have been with Dos Santos.
Just smothering him, not giving him a chance to get up. Just absolutely just a blanket.
Yeah, just blanketing the guy. You know what's funny? Yushin got criticized for this fight being boring, but the fact of the matter is, when you keep going for guillotines and end up on your back, you kind of brought it upon yourself, dude. I'm sorry to say. Sorry, Belcher. But
Belcher would intentionally make bad decisions for himself. He'd find himself in a hole, dig himself out, and then immediately jump back in the hole.
Dude, Okami on 2 occasions messed up his takedown, and Belcher got on top. At one point, he even got mount.
Yeah.
And then Okami ends up on top because I think what happened with Belcher is he'd go for these guillotines. It was really bad game plan. One thing I want to mention too about this fight, man, Belcher looked huge.
Yeah, really muscular.
He's said he wants to go to 205. I think he probably should, quite honestly. He's a good fighter, but he is very hot and cold. That's a problem. He's, at sometimes he looks like a top 10 guy, and then other times, here...
Well, if you're getting thrown around by Yushin Okami, I don't know if you want to go to 205.
that's true, but just for overall fitness, because the guy just looks huge. When you're that big, those weight cuts also on top of
they're draining.
They're draining. That's what happened with Chael. Actually, Chael is like really big, and so I think he's just more comfortable at 205. Ogami's weird because he's like Mike Pierce or John Fitch. I mean, he's
just spinning in circles, perennial top guy.
Yeah,
never gonna beat the champion. Never gonna probably get another title shot.
But also, anyone who fights him, it's generally a really ugly fight with Okami. I mean, it's clinching. It's a lot of grinding. You can stand with the guy, and actually, a lot of people have success standing with Okami, but you can't allow him to get that clinch, can't allow him to get you against the cage. He was definitely the superior grappler and just top control guy. Once again, Belcher's telling me, God, I don't know why he's going for ill-advised guillotines.
Well, I mean, if you're Belcher, what else do you have against Okami? It's like,
well, his stand on him, he dropped him.
That's true, but it's
you gotta just stick with standing somehow, but don't just pull away. But don't engage grappling if you can avoid it.
That's true.
That's the thing. Yeah, Belcher versus Bosch. Hell, you can do Belcher Lieben if you want to do that too.
I think that's well, like I said, we were. You feel like we're ready to talk about Lieben? Lieben's performance?
Not yet.
Okay.
And Okami, I guess he'd be a good test for Philippou. I mean, he's just gonna he makes fights pretty ugly.
And not that interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, you kind of need well, it's a weird conundrum for the UFC because like Jake Shields is kind of like that too, where it's like you're too good to be cut.
Yeah.
But your place in the UFC isn't necessarily gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Because you're like a top guy. But you also have fights that are just not aesthetically pleasing. I mean, they're just ugly fights, and you're not going to fight for a title, and you're not going to beat the champ. So it's just a really odd limbo place where like you're too good to be cut, but
you'll stop a lot of people's momentum towards the title shot.
Yeah, you'll stop a lot of people's momentum towards the title shot, but also and you don't have a very aesthetically pleasing style fighting. Yeah. So
it's not even that interesting in personality.
Yeah, exactly. And next fight, Derek Brunson beat Chris Lieben by unanimous decision. Whew. Man, this is just story of the thing, grappler versus striker, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I thought it was weird throughout the entire night, aside from I think maybe the co-main event and the main event, no interviews.
Oh yeah,
no interviews, because I imagine this kind of performance for Chris Lieben, I'm surprised if they had interviewed him, he didn't retire, because he would at no point did it ever seem like he was mentally in the fight.
Yeah, he looked really uninspired and unmotivated. Like, I was just like, where's Zombie Lieben? Where's...
He was a zombie, but of a different variety.
Yeah, no, he was just lethargic. Yeah. This was lethargic Lieben, not zombie.
And especially in the third round when Bronson seemed exhausted and didn't seem he could take him down anymore. Just Lieben just throwing these apathetic punches. And just...
One thing, I mean, to Lieben's credit, it could be that he was coming off a 1 year layoff. So, maybe you can give him that pass. So what do you think?
I still, even then, it's just, he didn't even seem like he was there. He was there to collect a paycheck. And,
yeah.
I mean, if you do have rust and you do know you're losing, just go in there and swing for the fences. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
You get taken down. Okay, big deal. At least, go out there and try.
That was a weird thing, because that's the thing with Chris Lieben. Unless he was worried about the takedown, which is... But it's still very Lieben-esque to just throw punches, like wildly. We've seen it a million times. It's just weird. He didn't do it very much here. With Brunson's a really weird prospect because he took a short nose fight against Kendall Grove and he lost. Some people thought he should have won, and then he got knocked out by Jacare.
His only knockout victory.
Yeah, his only kick. It was a clean KO, too. So, I mean, but Brunson's still 28. He's a good wrestler, and he trains at Jackson. So, I mean, he's a prospect in the sense but he's not like an impressive prospect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a very boring performance.
Yeah, it is. You know, that's the thing.
You know, looking at a lot of these cards, who gave Lieben a round?
I don't know.
Well,
I forgot what round it was. Maybe the second round?
But Lieben didn't do anything in the second round.
Yeah, maybe it's third.
That's spooky.
No, it could have been the third. Remember, because Brunson didn't do much in the third.
Yeah, but Lieben didn't do much either.
It's more than Brunson, I guess. As far as
it's everybody.
Yeah. As far as who Brunson should fight next, I mean, Lieben's actually like the perennial gatekeeper for like middleweight to the top, which is so it's really funny that Brunson beat him, but like, because I've seen Lieben beat guys like Aaron Simpson, who's a strong wrestler and heavier hands, and I've seen Lieben beat the guy, you know.
Or at least always be dangerous. This Lieben was just a body.
Yeah. So I think with Brunson, he should probably just fight more mid to lower tier guys in the division.
I mean, you know, more power to him. He's got a victory over a big name.
Exactly, more power to him. You know. Okay, on to the prelims. Eddie Wineland beat Brad Pickett by split decision. That's. You know, I don't know how this was a split. I thought it was pretty clear.
Yeah, Eddie Wineland. I don't. What round would you have given Pickett?
Maybe the second or third. But honestly, I thought it was 30-27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30-27. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was 30-27. Wineland. One thing this was a fun fight, but like I think one thing. I mean, it was very much a boxing match, though. Which
I'm not complaining about. Yeah, it was still fun.
Yeah, still a fun fight. Eddie Wineland was a more technical striker, whereas Pickett was a bit more of a brawler. And in the first round, he was eating some right hands pretty bad. I think the winner of this fight will probably get the winner of Renan Barão versus Michael McDonald. It's quite honestly, because Dominic Cruz is out, it's kind of like the only fight that makes sense to me. I think the winner of this will probably get the winner of Barão versus McDonald. Unless they want to insert Uriah Faber in there because they love Uriah Faber. Even though Faber's lost to Barão pretty decisively.
Well, if McDonald knocks out Barão, I mean, he's very easily just shoehorn Faber in there.
Yeah, exactly. Eddie Wineland's lost to Faber, so I mean, you could do Pickett versus Faber. That'd be really cool, actually. Or Pickett versus McDonald if McDonald loses. So there's some fun fights for Pickett. He's still like a top guy. You should definitely give him more like top guys in the division. Okay, Eric Perez TKO'd Byron Bloodworth in the first round. I think Bloodworth. Cool name, Byron Bloodworth.
Bloodworth. I think you can say like that, Chris. Can I say Bloodworth?
With Byron Bloodworth, it's like I think he's probably out of the UFC. I think before this he lost to he got TKO'd by Easton. Perez is a guy who's coming up. I mean, before this he beat Ken Stone, and before that beat John Albert. So he definitely needs a bigger name fight in bantamweight. Bantamweight is in a very weird position right now, though, because let's see, John Dodson, Chris Carriasso, Joseph Benavidez, Demetrius Johnson all went down to 125. So you lost a lot of top guys. So it's really hard to say who Eric Perez fights next. Maybe like a TJ Dillashaw or like Rafael Sancho or something like that. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, next right after that, Jamie Varner beat Melvin Gallard by split decision. Well, who gave Gallard 30-27, man?
Let's see.
Yes.
Wow.
That
wow. All 3 rounds. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
That's not just an oversight. That's straight up incompetence.
Yeah, that is straight up incompetence.
I mean, I can understand giving him a round or two, but you're giving it all 3 rounds.
Yeah, no, especially when Varner would take him down. This was a fun fight. I was looking forward to this fight, and it delivered for the most part. The stand-up. I mean, there's some really hard shots that each of these guys.
Big leg kicks from Gallard.
Oh yeah, some huge leg kicks. The wrestling, especially in the third round, really turned it around for Varner.
Yeah, this is pretty much how most people saw it going. Gallard's going to have an advantage from the get-go, but once Varner gets his hands on Gallard, he just imposed his will.
Yeah. So, Varner, once again, man, this guy, he came back to the UFC with a vengeance. I mean, he lost to Lozon before this in a Fight of the Year candidate, and then he just beat Gallard, which is a good win.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't know who you give him next. Maybe you can give him someone near the top. You can maybe go with the rubber match with Cerrone.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind if Cerrone loses to Pettis doing a rubber match. And
I'd favor Cerrone there, but Varner's been looking really good. So.
But still, that makes for some fun interviews.
Yeah, exactly. Or Varner versus TJ Grant. I think Grant's fighting someone. I forgot who, but there's some really fun fights.
That would be a fun co-main event on the card.
Yeah, on like an FX or Field Card or something
Yeah.
like that. Okay, Miles Jury dominated Michael Johnson to unanimous decision. This is kind of sad because this is interesting because I was pretty high on Michael Johnson. His striking was really improving. You saw that in the Tony Ferguson fight. He's always had good wrestling, but man, he got out wrestled and just out grappled, man. I gotta say, I'm not trying to diss the Black Zillion camp or anything, but Melvin Gillard and Michael Johnson fight out of the camp. I think Mitrione fights out of there too, and they're not very good off their backs.
Yeah.
I mean, what? I don't want to just pigeonhole that camp, but it's still a problem in MMA. Where, like, a guy just has no guard game or something. I mean, seriously, he just had nothing. I mean, he didn't even...
I mean, in 2012, how long has the sport been around, and still you don't see a lot of guard work?
Yeah, Joe Rogan actually really put it...
he really went to town.
Yeah, and he just said, you know what, one thing that probably needs the most work in MMA right now is the guard. Because, man, the ability to get back to your feet... just throwing offensive submissions, sweeps. I mean, there was times when Miles Jury was, he was really squared up. He'd be in a standing position squared up with Michael Johnson. That's actually incorrect. And Johnson didn't do anything with it. And it's like,
making these obvious mistakes and then he didn't capitalize on them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Good one for Jury. This guy's undefeated. He showed a really good wrestling and a great ground and pound and overall just grappling game.
Just a fantastic, fun fight.
Yeah. I was really surprised because no one gave Michael Jury a chance here, including me. And
he ran through Michael Johnson.
Exactly. With Jury, though, he should probably just fight more lower to mid-tier guys. Just keep building up his resume and see where he goes. Okay, on to the Facebook fights. Todd Duffy came back to the UFC with a vengeance as he TKO'd Philip DeFries in the first round. I mean, he the way he knocked him down was like timber. Like, he hit him and DeFries just fell like a redwood. Good win for Duffy. It was a bit worrying because he was put on his back, and as he got up, he was taking a couple shots. He's really athletic, he's still young, and he moves really well for his weight class. I still think, despite the fact that he got knocked out by Russo and then knocked out by Overeem, I think he's still a prospect in the division. I'd like to see him fight like maybe maybe Schaub or like Mitrione or something like that. Someone kind of low but would really test him.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of people were saying actually Todd Duffy, Pat Barry.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that sounds a lot of fun. Or maybe LeVar Johnson versus Todd Duffy.
Yeah, because Pat Barry's still a high-level striker who could very easily derail Todd Duffy's momentum.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And Todd Duffy's still really young, and it's like you'd hate to test him like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And here's some other karma here. Max Holloway beat Leonard Garcia by split decision. The karma here is that, I think there's actually a good argument for... Well, it's the same thing with Garcia here. He was punching a lot of air. But it's funny is, like, he is notorious. It's not his fault. It's actually the judges' fault to win split decisions that he probably should have won. Nam Fan, Korean Zombie, a couple fights in the WEC. So this is kind of funny because I was reading like Sherdog's scores, and they actually gave two rounds to Garcia, and it was funny, and I can actually see that where you could give Garcia the fight. And this is funny because Holloway won the split decision. And there's an argument for it, for both guys winning. So I don't think it's some sort of robbery, but I thought it's very ironic.
The judges give this, and the judges take it away.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is like 4 losses in a row for Garcia, but he always wars. So they'll probably give him like Teotron Zhang next, so they can give him a win. Or like Cody McKenzie or something like that. Holloway's, he took this fight on short notice. He looked pretty bad. I've seen him look really good against like Justin Lawrence and stuff. I think in a full camp he'd look a lot better. But he's like one of the youngest fighters in the UFC. The guy's still learning, and has some really good composure for a guy who only has like 6-7 professional fights. Definitely a kid I'm still looking out for. And another guy I'm looking out for, John Moraga, beat Chris Carriazo by guillotine choke in the 3rd round. Actually, they showed the highlight of this.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
So, Carriazo's a really well-rounded flyweight, but Moraga, he knocked out Ulysses Gomez, and now he just beat Chris Carriazo. Those are 2 very solid wins by finish. This guy is a flyweight to look out for. I think he trains out of Arizona. I think the lab with Ben Henderson, I think. I'm not too sure. Maybe Arizona Comic Sports. I could be totally off. But yeah, this guy, good striking, good wrestling. Someone to look out for at 125. Possible next contender for the winner of Dodson versus Demetrius Johnson. So yeah, that's pretty much it for our post-fight analysis for UFC 155. If you have any comments, just leave them below. Got any final comments, Tony, for 2012?
2012 is really kind of a setup year.
I want to do a show for that.
Yeah, I guess kind of a throwaway year, kind of a rebuilding year for the UFC.
Yeah.
And them really, getting their ducks in a row. I mean, we still had 2 really big blockbuster fights in John Jones and Rashad Evans and Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen 2. Mm-hmm. But we also had a lot of big matches also be pulled out away from us. Yeah. A lot of injuries, a lot of things fell through. Too many shows, too many injuries.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's pretty much it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much, and Happy New Year.